Hi VC, how are you all doing? It's George back again. 10 LPs, 6 jazz, the other 4 are soul, and a couple of folk albums, 2 or 3 folk albums. So fire, got them the last couple of weeks or so. Well, the first one's by Michael Kiwanuka. He's an English soul, rocky, beautiful voice. This is his second album, his third album. He received the Mercury Music Prize maybe 3 years ago. This was from 2016, as I say, his second LP. This is a 2002 copy. Just the pure blacks. It's a double album. I bought this used from eBay probably. Just custom labels there of the album. It's called Love and Hate. Yeah, so I had his first and third albums, and this was a wee hole, but his new album's coming out in the end of November, his fourth album, and he's doing a tour, small tour. He's hitting Edinburgh sort of March, so I was wanting tickets. If you pre-ordered the album, you got a couple of days early on the tickets, so yeah. So bought the album, pre-ordered the album, and got the tickets, 4 tickets I purchased. They're maybe approximately £50 each, the tickets. So this was going to leave a hole in the collection for Michael, so picked up. He's a great singer, great soul. I don't deviate from jazz a hell a lot these days, but it's got to be good, and Michael Kiwanuka is worth it. Give him a listen. So 3 folk albums, and one of the music groups I'm on Facebook, the chap showed this Scottish records or turntables, and he's shown this album with Heart Music. Now I'm going to file this under folk music as opposed to jazz, and it's by Amy Shreve. Now she might be Canadian, American, probably Canadian I think, and it's called Piece in the Puzzle, and she's had maybe about 4, approximately, I don't know, 4 albums. This is, I believe, the only one in vinyl. And one of the reasons I wanted it too was it's a bit of a hi-fi release on Meadow Lark. I think that's a Canadian audiophile label. On a premium virgin vinyl it is, and it's recorded to 2-track. Recorded in 1986, direct to half-inch 2-track tape at 30 inches per second, so it sounds fantastic. No noise reduction included. There we are. Back cover. So it's really only Amy on the album. More or less all our own songs, about 10, 11 songs. Pure Heart. There's a Meadow Lark label. Lovely album, great sounding, right up my street. Been wanting more harp, especially folk harp, so this is feeding that really well, so glad to pick that up. Amy Shreve, Piece in the Puzzle. 2 folk albums. Davy Graham. Now Davy Graham's the record, I think it's Cherry Red Records are bringing out his 11 albums, recorded mostly in the 70s. Davy Graham, folk artist. They're bringing out a box set of his 11 CDs. This is about the last album he made, 1977, 78. This is a UK original copy, and you pick this album up strangely, fairly cheaply. Got this off of eBay, wasn't that much, £10, £12, £15, can't remember. It's called The Complete Guitarist. David Graham was born in England, a Scottish dad, and possibly a Dutch mother, can't remember where his mother was from. A great student of the guitar. Davy would go to India and North Africa, and basically instrumental guitar he done. He plays sometimes with some wee 4-piece band or whatever. He sings a duet on one song here, I think it's with Holly, and she sings a couple of the other songs on her own. Yeah, there's a lot of tracks on this. 7 tracks on side 1 and 9 tracks on side 2. There are a lot of quite short guitar-y things. Think of Robbie Basho maybe in the States. Davy Graham. Most of these albums are really expensive, really hard to get. Never really, there's maybe some reissues, maybe a wee bit cheaper to get, but if you ever see original Davy Graham, you used to see the odd ones back in the day, but I wasn't into folk music at the time, and I had a mate called Davy Graham, and it somehow put me off his albums, but that's a shame, because absolute fantastic guitarist. He done a couple of albums with Judy Collins, the American female vocalist, and he worked with Bert Jansch, and so that's Davy Graham, the complete guitarist. And I picked up one of his other albums. It's a reissue from, now this is just a test pressing I picked up of Discogs. It's called Goddington Boundary. This is a reissue from 2016. It was released 2016, 500 copies. Yeah, so the original, it was remastered from the original tape in 2016. I think 1970 was when the album was released. 15 songs, Goddington Boundary. So yeah, it's a proper test pressing. And this maybe cost me £35. Could have probably picked up the original album, the reissue, for maybe £5 cheaper. I'll wait for this. No cover though. So I traded in 2 or 3 albums at my local record shop, and the next 3 are from there. And the first one's from Cortney Pine, which is playing in the background there, and it's called Destiny's Song. This is on Island Records. And Cortney Pine, there was a big reissue, I don't know, was it 6 months ago? Beginning of the year. Cortney Pine, that record shop in England or so, done a reissue of his first album, which was probably in 1985. This is from his second album, 1997. Quite hard bop-ish. All the songs, there's about 10 songs, all written by Cortney Pine. One, I think they do around about midnight, one standard, Monk standard. I think mostly British musicians. £6 at my local record shop. Absolutely fantastic album. So if you heard the last reissue they've done, this is original copy. It's not been reissued, from 1987. Cortney Pine. Also picked up my local record shop, McCoy Tyner, Song for My Lady. I presume that's McCoy and his lady on there. It's from 1973. It's on Milestones. Milestone label. American issue. 5 tracks on this. Great wee band on it. So I've shown my VMP. He done 3 albums round about this time. This is from 1970, recorded in 72, released in 73. What was the album? I've shown my VMP copy, and I think the other copy is Sahara, and the wee series he done for the label Milestone at the time. So we've got McCoy tyner on piano and percussion, Sonny Fortune on flute, soprano sax and alto saxophone, Charles Tolver on flugelhorn, Michael White on violin, Calvin Hill on bass, Alphonse Mouzon on drums, Matum on congas and percussion. I said 5 tracks. This album's going out a wee bit here, you know. He's stepped up it's a different album from his next album we done. He's stepped up the pace a little, but it's McCoy tyner. It's fantastic. I think this cost me used £18. It's quite flimsy vinyl actually. It's a wee bit of warp, but when the clamp's on the turntable it plays okay. And the third album I got in my trade-in is on ECM. It's George Adams, Sound Suggestions. That's on the green label ECM. It's 1979 it was originally released. 5 tracks. The band: George Adams, tenor sax and vocal, Heinz Suer, tenor sax, Kenny Wheeler, trumpet and flugelhorn, Richard Breach on piano, Dave Holland on bass and Jack DeJohnette on drums. So great band, 5 tracks. So George Adams, he sings on one track, and side 2 is called Got Something Going For You, and it's more actually like a blues song. Apart from that, fantastic album, hard boppy a bit. It's not too avant-garde and very listenable. So £18 again, used at my local record shop. I went to a record fair about a month ago. I went into a record shop close by, and I thought I had some credit, but hadn't been for a while, so they had scrubbed it. So I bought this one album, looked quite good, and it's Isaiah Collier, and it's called Parallel Universe. Now, Isaiah's from Chicago. This was released last year. It's a double album. Not as much nice pitch there of Isaiah. Labels are fairly. So double album, 2 tracks per side. Isaiah again. And there's the band on it. It's quite a biggish band now. It's a jazz album, but it's jazz vocal. So this lady here, Jametta Rose, she sings on most of the tracks. Isaiah does a little vocal, and we've got this chap here doing a bit vocal, bit noise. So what was special about this album too, the reason I wanted it, was recorded live and cut direct to disc in Holland. So nothing in between the live take to disc, no tape involved, and it sounds really good. It was inexpensive. I think it was about I don't know, £26. Put the custom label inside there, but you can't read it really. Yeah, mostly vocal, solely jazz. Isaiah Collier, good album. Finishing my Dorothy Ashby runny albums. 3 albums that were produced by Richard Evans, so a wee bit like the last one I showed, Afro harping, very up tempo on the Cadet label as they are. So this is just completes the whole in my Dorothy Ashby. Dorothy's Harp is called. Now this was a reissue, originally recorded 1969 in Chicago. This was a 2017 music on vinyl reissue. I think they pressed in Holland, the Netherlands. Yeah, I got Fool on the Hill in here, This Guy's in Love with You. They're generally all covers that Dorothy does, but does them very well. Really up-tempo harp. That's why I was looking for a bit folky harp. Now I've got done out with jazz harp, really. But good to complete the whole. Dorothy Ashby's Dorothy's Harp. Fairly easy to find, that album. And last but not least, Tone Poet, and it's Booker Little, 4 and Max Roach. Tone Poet on the custom label, it's United Artists. It wasn't issued on Blue Note Records at the time. And because there's no gatefold, you get a little information sheet there. So Max Roach on drums, Booker Little on trumpet. Who else have we got? Tenor saxophone, George Coleman. Piano, Tommy Flanagan. Bass, Arthur Davis. Yeah, I had a Japanese copy of this, so which was a nice copy, which I traded in for this Tone Poet. Yeah, Booker Little was one of these jazz guys that died too early. I think he was about 24. He played on a few. I've got maybe about 4. I think he done about 5 albums on his own, but not one on a run of labels. He done different labels, here, there, and wherever. Played a bit with Eric Dolphy. I actually think he done maybe a tour with John Coltrane. He done a little with John Coltrane. He would have been massive, I'm sure. He just needed to go with Blue Note, really, and get a run of proper albums run out. But all these albums are really good. Great trumpet player. He would have been really big. So Booker Little, 4. Nice copy, good album. Okay guys, I'll see you in a couple of weeks probably. Have a good week, bye now.